Good evening, all my friends and colleagues on Facebook. Good evening, all our colleagues out there in Africa, in the diaspora. This is Reverend Dr. Aquilus Riggs, your fellow servant in ministry, your fellow servant in public service. We are coming to you live on our Afreig feed on Mondays. This is Monday, March 14th, 8 p.m., which is our new time, 8 p.m. Central Time, as we have dialogues and conversation with professional Africans in the diaspora, even global partners around the world, as we discuss issues pertinent to Africa and to the upkeep of Africa, how we inspire future generations of Africans as well in public service on the continent of Africa. Welcome to Afreig, Africans for the Restoration of Ethics in Government. This is your host and moderator, Reverend Dr. Aquilus Riggs. Today we are honored to welcome to our platform a professional African in public service in the state of Illinois in the United States of America. He is Mr. Elias Ngwayah II. He has served the past 14 years as the operations manager and associate deputy director for the business enterprise program for the state of Illinois. Prior to that, he served for 5.5 years in the Park District of Chicago, the city of Chicago, Illinois, as purchasing manager. He is currently working as the business enterprise program manager for the Illinois Tollway Authority with the state of Illinois. Welcome, Mr. Ngwayah, to Afreig.
Thank you, Dr. Riggs. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure that you could join us. We'll begin our interview with you based on your experience. First of all, I wanted to start with your experience in the Park District of the city of Chicago. You served as the purchasing manager for about 5.5 years. Now, generally, we know of two types of parks. We know of national parks, and also we know of what we call community or urban parks. With national parks, we know about like Yosemite Park, also think about parks in South Africa that people go to, to watch the Serengeti and things like that. These are huge parks. But your expertise and your experience were more in urban community parks. So I want to begin there, and I want you to just talk to our audience. What is a community park, and why is it important to build community parks throughout the nation?
Well, thank you. Well, community parks are areas of getaway within an urban setting. Unlike the rural national parks that you see in East Africa, the Serengeti and other national parks, urban parks are much easier to build and to manage. Usually the urban environment, they are made out of brick and mortar, which means concrete. And sometimes during the summertime, it gets very, very hot because there's nothing to cool the city down. So these parks are recreational places whereby people go and just get away from the stresses and the hustle and bustle and just relax. They can be used to interact with people in the community forums. And sometimes different parks have different programs for a different segment of society. I think it helps to keep kids off the streets, keep them off gangs, and give them things to do sports-wise. And I think it's very important that community parks create healthy environment within the urban society for people, and it also helps the ecosystem because you have these trees that cool down the city during hot summer times. And so urban parks are extremely important to be integrated within the infrastructure development or any kind of urban environment.
Thank you for saying that, because it's interesting, when we think about parks, oftentimes we don't think in the context of, things you just mentioned. We just say, oh, just go hang out, but obviously there's more to parks, in a city than just hanging out. Could you elaborate a bit on the social and psychological benefits of having parks in a community?
It's a place whereby people go to interact with other people. I don't know of anyone that go to the park just to get away from people, because park is a social environment. And so when you go to a social environment, you interact with people in the community, and I think it's very healthy. It's very healthy to interact with people. And also parks create different sporting activities. You have these different sports that help you psychologically and also physically, and mentally also, to relax yourself. So I think, having park in an environment will help the citizens of that environment to mentally be stable, help you interact with other people in the environment, and just get away and relax yourself and be at ease. I think it's very important.
It's interesting because as you are talking, one word that comes to mind is the word therapeutic. That it seems as if within the confines of a park, people having dealt with all the stresses and the hustles and the bustles, as you mentioned, of life, and even things that may be going on in the community, or things that be going on in the nation, whether it's unemployment, whether and for a moment, for a period of time, they can just you know come to this place, I mean, where it's kind of releasing of the stress, and it just focus on socialization and the relationship building and fun and things like that. And that in itself is therapeutic by nature. But let's talk also concerning what would you advise? Because with Afreig, our concern is about helping Africa. It's about helping Africa. And I don't know about a lot of other African countries, but I have, for one, I've not seen a lot of parks with the kind that fits the description you have said, you have mentioned, in my home, in my native home of Liberia. Talk to us a little bit about what advice you would give African nations, okay, in terms of investing resources in community parks as part of the infrastructure development programs, and why do you think that's necessary to do?
A park system is very expensive, and therefore it would take someone like something like the state, citywide, statewide, to be able to invest and ably run a park system. Now, when I say park, I'm not talking about just one little park that people can, with few trees that people can go and sit under the tree, and that's it. In Chicago, where I worked, we have a park system. The Chicago Park District is one of the largest park districts in the United States. We have different, in addition to open space, we have different buildings whereby we have teams. We have different classes that the community go there and take these classes, such as art classes. We have different sports. We have basketball, gymnasium. We have volleyball. We have soccer field. We have tennis court. All of these things we have. So these are things that help the community physically to be healthy, mentally to be healthy. And I think it's very important, once you invest in the citizens' well-being, I think it helps society as a whole. So park play an integral part in any urban environment to bring about a healthy society.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. Just thinking about as we think about Africa and the need to consider this initiative. We think about the different traumatic things that impacts our children, back home, and what is the high mortality rate and things like that. But just knowing that you have this opportunity to escape, what I mean, and especially for the children who have gone through trauma, having a park where there's a playground, or the community. Talk about people coming in the evening, and as you mentioned, it's not just restricted to children, but it's for all ages. There's something for all ages, where you have a soccer field there, a basketball court, a volleyball court, maybe a little library there, and some, these are avenues whereby our people can just for a moment, get away, bring their minds at peace and at rest, to just have fun, to laugh, and the whole therapeutic nature of parks, as you mentioned, is create laughter, create a sense of normality, help the children go through, just navigate through traumatic events, and maybe plaguing the families, plaguing their own lives, and get their mind at ease. And we know that when someone's mind is at ease, then there's great, it's an opportunity for innovation, for thinking, things like that to occur. And so I'm really glad you mentioned that experience you had in the park district, and just looking at how, just by investing in parks in our communities in Africa, We literally set our communities on course. We set our community on course for peace of mind. We set our community on course for people to start thinking again, for people to start dreaming again, you know, and to minister, so to speak, to the citizens of our communities. That, you know what, we are here for you. Your well-being, your mental well-being is important. And just the construction of a park can perform those tasks. That's admirable. I want us now to switch, Ms. Ngwayah.
If I can add,
Please go ahead.
look at park as community engagement centers. Community engagement centers. These are centers that are established to cater to the needs of the community. So the parks have various classes that they teach to the communities. They have different professors. They have different people that attend these different classes that the community can enroll in to teach. The elderly, they have dancing classes there. For the young kids, they have art classes there. We also have sporting activities. And people teach the kids how to play basketball, teach the kids how to swim, teach the kids how to play volleyball. So it's a whole realm of things that the park offers to its citizens. And so I want to look at the park system as a community engagement center.
Thank you so much. Now, I want to make a little switch here, because you also not just having this experience working in the park district for 5.5 years, but you also work for 14.5 years in state government with the state of Illinois Business Enterprise Program as a operations manager and associate deputy director. Talk to us concerning your experience in that capacity for that 14.5 years, and how, you know, Africa can benefit, so to speak, from your expertise in that area.
What I have observed in Africa is that we tend to forget, or maybe the reason that government exists. Government exists to serve the people and meet their needs. That's why government exists. Most of the times, my brothers and sisters in Africa, when they get a government job, they tend to lord over the people rather than be servants of the people. And I think my experience over the past 20 years in governmental sector is that I constantly remind myself that I'm the servant of the people. I serve the public. That's why that I get paid by the public, by practice, by the public pay. So I always remind myself that I'm here to serve the people. That's why I'm in this position. And I think if that kind of mentality can go, you can teach the people in Africa that when you have a government job, you are there to serve the people and to meet their needs. That's why we are in government for. I'm not here to rule over the people. And I think one of the things that that government can establish, because where I worked in government was, I cater to the disadvantaged sector of society. The minority, the women, and the person with disability businesses. I try to integrate them in the economic system of the state. And I think one of the things that Africa can establish is that they can establish a quota whereby the government, whenever they are doing a project in a certain city or a village or a town, that the quota is 25% of the workforce on that project. Let's assume the project is going to last for 2 years, a major project. 25% of the people of that environment will be employed on that project, which means there's money going to the pockets. They will be able to spend money to pay the kids' tuition, send them to school, open businesses, or even use that money to buy from the local stores. The local stores, in turn, take that money and pay taxes to the local government. Local government take that money and invest it by building new schools, building more roads, and investing in the citizens of that area. So I think it's something that we need to look at, that how government can have the less disadvantaged sector of society to be integrated within the economic system. Also, we have something called shelter market. Shelter market is where you look at society and you feel that there's a disadvantaged segment of society, and you create a program to make that segment of society that is disadvantaged, to give them the privilege of being not disadvantaged. In other words, you give them privilege, give them contracts that they'll be able, you train them and you give them contracts so that they can be able to find jobs and work in society. So those are projects and avenues that governments in Africa can look at, because so many times, I mean, when you look on television and you see the kind of degradation and you see the kind of living standards of our people, thereby government can create programs to help those people to better their lives. And I think it's very important that we shift focus and try to create programs to bring those people out of poverty.
Thank you so much. I'm going to just throw in one more question because we are pressed against time. Obviously, want these segments to be short and condensed. But I want you to elaborate a little bit also on your current role in the Illinois State Authority as you serve right now, which is related to rules and things like that. What's your experience in there, and how, again, how that can benefit Africa?
Well, working at the Illinois tollway, one of the highest, largest tollway system in the United States, I often ask myself, why is there no superhighways from Dakar, Senegal to Nairobi, Kenya, across Africa? Why is there no superhighways from Cairo, Egypt in the north to the Cape of Good Hope in South Africa? We understand that Africa is moving into a single market. In order to establish a single market, you must have movement of goods and services. In order to do that, you must have superhighways. You have to have good construction highways, infrastructures, and things of that nature. I think investing into a tollway system whereby we will be able to ship goods and services across borders with ease. People don't have to die driving on bad roads and things of that nature. No, we can invest in our infrastructure, invest in roads, move goods and services very fast, and become productive. And once I'm able to sell my product and make money easily, I'll be able to help my people, my family, other workers in my company to live a higher standard. So I think Africa should look at roads. Roads is very important. Roads bring development, brings connectivity. And I think it's extremely important that we connect countries to countries in Africa. Easily there can be movement of goods and people throughout the continent.
Wow, wow. Thank you so much, Mr. Ngwayah. We can go on and on, but I think we've condensed our time, and I really want to thank you. I want to thank you for sharing your expertise with us, and more importantly, for the connection between what you are doing here and how that can be replicated back home in Africa. And just just availing yourself to come with us and to share these expertise are priceless, and we really appreciate it. Any final thoughts from you before we conclude our segment tonight?
Well, I would like to say I'm a son of Africa, and there are many sons and daughters of Africa. I've been fortunate to hold several positions within city and state government over the past 20 years. And during that time, I have learned and I've adopted good practices that I can share with my brethren in Africa so that governance can be practiced. Good governance can be practiced in Africa, and our people can benefit and thrive. I think it's very important that we give back to our continent. We give back to Mother Africa to make those that are there productive citizens so that Africa can one day stand up, because I believe Africa is the future.
Well said, well said, well said. Well, we're going to just end it right there. We want to say a great thank you to you, Mr. Ngwayah. Again, that's Mr. Elias Ricks Ngwayah II, a professional African here in the state of Illinois, United States of America, who has served over, as he mentioned, about 20 years in public service, just sharing his heart concerning how something as simple as a park can be therapeutic in Africa. Something as simple as a park, and yet going a little bit more depth concerning, rules and helping the disability and the minority and those who are struggling, investing in businesses among our people. And so I really want to thank you, Lord, for Mr. Ngwayah, for the nuggets of truth that you have shared with us, the words of wisdom you have shared with us. And we hope that as people, access these interviews, that they will share them with other local authority back home in Africa, that they too can learn something, as they formulating policies, they can be able to integrate some of the things you said into the existing policies or even create new policies that will help Africa and help the people of Africa. So thank you so much. Thank you again, our audience, for joining us. Again, this is your host and moderator, Reverend Dr. Elias Ricks, coming to you this Monday, 8 p.m. And every Monday, we'll be here at 8 p.m. Central Time to discuss issues significant to Africa and how we can improve conditions in Africa for our people. We want to thank you and want to just leave you with our motto for this organization: do better by doing right. Africa can do better if we simply do right. Thank you all. You have a good evening. Thank you, Mr. Ngwayah. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Good night, everybody.